Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra Reish.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, a show that helps you live your best life and reach for the stars. Don't forget at any time to feel free to call into the show at 1-866-472-5792. So, here we are just a few days before the holidays, and it seemed to me that there was no question the topic for today, which is the stress and the blues that come with the holidays. And that might sound a little depressing because, the holidays are supposed to be happy, right? But the thing is that there's a lot of pressure on us when it comes to the holidays to be happy. And being in the field that I'm in, I can assure you that not everybody feels happy. And then when they don't feel happy, then they feel that something is terribly wrong with them, and they go through what's called the holiday blues or holiday anxiety. So I will have my colleague Georgia Dow joining me soon. She's going to be calling in, but I want to start off by talking about she's just calling, but I don't know that she's calling the right number. Okay, we'll have her call into the show. We'll get my producer to get her on the line. Not to worry, I will talk about it in the meanwhile. So the thing about the holidays is that the first thing that we get into trouble with is that we go onto our social media and we compare ourselves with other people. Now, my first warning of the day is that when you're on social media, I really would like you to remember that nobody puts on social media the fights they're having with their family or the fights they're having with their husband or their wife. So this is a very big concern because what happens is we put pictures of ourselves having a great time, and then we go on social media and we look at everybody having a great time and we figure we are the only people not having a great time. And that's scary. So one of my first recommendations for today is to be careful about social media for yourself and definitely for your children. There's a whole other angle about this, that electronics in general have a very profoundly negative effect on children, although there is a place for social media, don't misunderstand me, and a place for electronics. Unfortunately, it does allow for something called a comparison upward syndrome. So let me take a few minutes and explain what comparison upward syndrome looks like. Basically, as human beings, we have something called a negativity bias. And what that negativity bias means is that we compare only in a negative way. Our eyes are trained and our brains are trained or adapted to look for what is wrong. And unfortunately, therefore, when we compare to others, we don't tend to look at people who are having less good times than us. We compare to people who are having better times than us. It's the same with anything else. When we look on social media and we compare to people how they look, how much money they're making, the exact same thing happens. Do you ever notice this? You compare upwards. And that's not a legitimate comparison, because if you're going to compare, if you're going to play that game, you have to compare both upwards and downwards. Take a minute and think about that. When's the last time you compared downwards too? If you're not doing it both ways, you're setting yourself up for total disappointment. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the holidays. Now, the other reason that people fall into holiday blues is that we are creatures of habit and we do really well with structure. If there's one thing I hope you've learned on Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, it's that food, sleep, exercise are particularly important for anxiety, for depression, for feeling good in your life. So basically, the way it works is that when we eat, when we sleep, when we exercise and move our bodies, we feel good. Those are stress management techniques. Well, guess what happens when the holidays hit? And I'm not going to lie, it's happening to me right now. I'm not even at the holidays, and I find myself with the attitude, like many of you might have, of, you know what? It's almost the holidays. I can eat what I want. And you know what? It's a break from exercise, and I think I'll sleep to whatever time I feel like. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not proud of this, but I found myself yesterday feeling such symptoms of lethargy, it almost felt like a depression. Yep, yours truly. So this is a reminder that absolutely routine is going to be paramount during the holidays. Now, I've just gotten a cue from our producer that we've got Georgia Dow on the line, so I'm going to bring her on because we're going to have a great talk about all the tips and strategies you can do to protect yourself. Georgia, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, how are you, Georgia?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I don't know if you heard me talking, but I was saying that even myself, I have sort of fallen into the attitude of, oh, well, it's almost the holidays. I'll just eat what I want. And, I'm sleeping crazy hours. And partly it's not my fault. I was on TV early this morning, but then I went to bed all day. And I did that another time this week. And I noticed, just like our patients, I suddenly had no energy, a lot of symptoms of what could be called depression. I'm not feeling depressed. So I've already explained it, but let's get another point of view. What's going on? Why am I feeling so low and tired? And what's happened to me?
Well, there's so many things that happen, and it happens to all of us. That's why this is so important. So we know all of the tools, the tips, the techniques, what's occurring. It affects everyone. So one of the things is that we're always often trying to put too much on our plate. We're trying to have family members. This is supposed to be the holiday, a time to rest, but it seems like I'm more busy now than I have ever been trying to wrap things, gather things, meet with people, cooking things, getting things ready, and that's really stressful to that. Plus, we end up having to see our family members, and if you have the most wonderful family members and they make you feel uplifted and warm, that's lovely. But for most of us, there's usually some family members that we might have difficulty with or gatherings with friends that we're going to have to get together, and that can be really hard. And then we end up with the season itself. The daylight time is getting shorter, and so because of that, we end up kind of messing with our own clock. Like here in Canada where I am, it's like 4:30 and the sun is already setting. And so I'm starting to get really tired, and I'm I could just sleep all day.
I hear you, and I think you brought up a lot of points I want to talk about today. So just on the point of darkness, I was driving down. I was driving down to the studio today, and it wasn't
really. You were driving down really early as well, weren't you?
Yeah, but it wasn't so early that it should be pitch black. Like it was 6:30, and I was like, "This is surreal." That and I'm very grateful that I don't have to get up at that time. But there was something really depressing about it being pitch black. Yeah, and it's pitch black right now, and we're only at 6 o'clock at night. I think you brought up a few points I'd like to get into a little bit because I've been trying to spread the word of strategies people can do, and you mentioned one that I think is very important going into the holiday season. Before we get into seasonal affective disorder, which is another issue, is that, we're going to be with our families, we're going to be with our friends, and you said it yourself. I was begging you to come over today to do the radio show. You said you have a lot on your plate. I had to accept that. I love to see you, Georgia, though, but we'll have to take a rain check on that. But, there is a lot on everyone's plate. So everyone's stressed. So one of my first strategies for today for people will be choose your battles. When you're with your family, when you're with your friends, because everybody's on edge, so you don't want to go to battle on every single thing. Do you agree?
Yes, for sure. For sure. And I think that we also need to try to take a look at how much you put on your plate. I think that a lot of people also are trying to do everything and do every aspect of their life and trying to do that perfectly. And so I was talking to someone today about how, at school, everyone I forgot, and then suddenly I remembered that every family member of a child that's graduating has to bake something that they have 48 of, like 48 items of something. And I'm like, I'm so tired, there's no way I'm baking cookies from scratch. And so I went out, I'm just being honest, I went out and I got those Pillsbury dough cookies that are already separated, and I put them I did bake them. I'm just saying. I baked them.
I saw your tweet on this and I thought it was brilliant. I mean, it's another one of the tips that I was talking about earlier today is that you've got to also lower your standards. People who lower their standards. And so you wrote on Twitter that, you're not like, don't judge me. But you know what? I think there's something to be learned from you is that, again, the idea of making 48 cookies for every teacher and doing everything right and having the perfect Christmas tree and having the perfect holiday dinner, it's just like there's nowhere to go but down from that. So lowering the standard is already, I would say that getting those Toll House cookies made was an act of brilliance. I really do feel that way. No judgment at all.
I think that's a really good point, and thank you so much because I was like, oh, this is really not baked, but it was survival. I was in survival mode. I'm like, usually I also make jewelry for everyone every year, all the teachers, which cost effective. But I'm like, you know what? I don't have any time. And it's just, what am I going to do? And so we also went out and just got gift cards from a bookstore for all the teachers. Instead of making something or buying something personalized, we just got gift cards for everyone, and they can go out and buy whatever they want as well. And I got it at one location. They're all getting the same thing. And so that was another way of just cutting a little bit of a corner, but I didn't want to not give them anything, and it was my mid-ground in between that. And so, we did something a little different this year, but I think that I feel good about that one as well.
Well, I think that, that we're just about to take a break, but I think that it comes to what I started the show with. I don't know how much of it you heard, but first of all, lowering the standards, watching the routine, as I said, falling off your basic routines is a surefire way to get depressed or anxious. I mean, again, it's very tempting. It's the holidays. Let's drink a bit more. Let's eat a bit more. But unfortunately, those things have an effect on mood. Alcohol is a depressant. And I'm not saying now for anyone listening that Straight Talk with Sandra Reich is not saying you can't have a drink. I'm not saying that. But you have to understand that if you're not keeping to some routines, and again, watching the expectations, watching the social media comparisons, which is we've just started, you're likely to start to feel, a little bit of a feeling like, is this all there is? Like, this is not what I thought Christmas, the holidays, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate is about. So we're going to take a break, but we're definitely going to come right back. Don't go away, because we are going to talk about the effect of sunlight. And I do want to start by saying something about that, because I'm very affected by that. And Georgia's going to talk a lot about the science behind it. We'll give you all sorts of information. We'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats, and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reich. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So we're back on Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Before we go any further, I always at this point like to thank our sponsor, Spa Maneri. If you're in Montreal and you're not checking out Spa Maneri, this is the time of year we're talking about self-care. And one of my tips today actually is during the holidays, take 15 minutes at least a day for yourself. Catch your breath. Book an appointment for a massage. Well, Spa Maneri is your place, because if you use the word Straight Talk with Sandra Reish and you call them at 514-695-5040, they will give you 15% off their service. And I'll tell you, Georgia, this is the time of year with all the guests and with all the get-togethers that you need some time for yourself. I'll tell you, we were together this week at the holiday party of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression, which I think was a good time was had by all. Very special. With the people I love most in life, but I'm not going to lie to you, that much social takes a toll on me. Like, I can't do that every night of the week, maybe because I'm getting old, I don't know, but I know that I'm not alone in this, that it's a lot of stimulus, it's a lot of like bustle and being on because you're around other people. Other people are going through the Christmas party and holiday party thing, and you have to get together with your family. I'm pretty sure you agree with me that taking some time for yourself is paramount during this time of year.
It really is. You need to be able to do that. And the hard part is that a lot of people say that the holidays are about others, and they forget themselves in this. And so they're not really taking good care of themselves, and it adds to that feeling of stress.
It really does. And I think that, if you take 15 minutes a day, that would be my strategy, just to even ask yourself, what am I feeling? What do I need? Because sometimes, again, I would consider myself social. Like, they have those personality tests, and you can find out if you're an extrovert or an introvert. Well, I found out years ago that I'm both, meaning I'm very social. I love people, but I also I need a lot of time alone. So I have to take the 15 minutes often to ask myself, hey, what's going on? Because I start to feel weird after a while, and I don't really know. And look, I'm a therapist, for goodness sake. So I have to check in and ask myself, Sandra, what are you feeling and what do you need? And often the answer is, I'm feeling good, but I need a little quiet time. I'm also like most therapists, you probably relate to this, I'm a sensitive soul, and many people listening are sensitive souls. And sensitive people are not just sensitive to emotions, they're sensitive to sound, they're sensitive to a lot of things. Do you find that happens to you? I know you're more of an extrovert, but I bet you also like some downtime where you're you can just like we like to talk about, be in your sweatpants and just say whatever you feel like saying.
Yeah, it's still a cost. Even for me, I'm highly extroverted, but it's a cost. You're giving out energy, and especially when you're doing a lot of things around different people that are not in your main comfort zone. You are always slightly on guard. So you can't really, with my close friends and my family, I can be grumpy if I'm grumpy and upset, and I don't have to smile and I don't have to entertain, and so it's not as exhausting. And as you slowly get out of that comfort zone with people, there's a greater and greater cost to yourself of how you're being, because you don't want to bring down the party and you don't want to make people feel bad. And so you're always giving off a little bit more than you're getting, and so it's slowly depleting you. And so you might be able to spend a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, then I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I've given off all the energy I want, and I'm acutely aware of how my energy levels are through the day. And I used to be one of those people that would use up all my energy throughout the day, come home, and I was spent. And now I know that, you know what, I really need to make sure that I leave a little bit of energy at home just in case there's something that I need to do and I have to get it done now. So you really want to monitor all through the day, how much are you giving off, how do you feel at the end. If you are completely exhausted by the end of the day, you are giving off too much energy.
Okay, really, really helpful. And, I love when we tell our own stories because, we're therapists, we teach this stuff, and we have to watch it ourselves. Let's talk about seasonal affective disorder, SAD. It's a very big problem. We live in Montreal, Canada, where there, obviously there's less sunlight at this time of year. I notice I'm very affected by this. Many people are. I'll tell you my little bit on it, and we'll talk a little bit about the science on it. So I was sitting yesterday having, a nice, relaxing time with my husband, and I just couldn't keep my eyes open. And that's not like me. I'm a very high energy, like go, go, go type A personality. And I was trying to figure out what is going on. And what I realized is that given the week I had, I was not outside much, and I missed the sunlight. And my body started to go into a superb exhaustion. What's the science here, Georgia? What's going on?
Well, so we get a lot of our neurotransmitters happen from the sun. And so the further you are from the equator, the more that this could affect you. And it affects a lot of people. What we believe is 15 to 30% of people will be affected by seasonal affective disorder. How do you know? It would be that, at a certain time of year, every year, usually it starts at around November, but there's people that even have the inverse of that and may start at a different period of time of year, depending on where you live. And so this is more for, different hemispheres will see the sun and experience winter at different times. Now, what it is your body going into a mild form of hibernation. And so you may want to sleep a little bit more, you may overeat, you may undereat. And it's a feeling of like a mild dysthymia, so you feel a little bit depressed, a loss in motivation. And it can be something that you may not notice at first. So only people that are very aware of themselves and their body sometimes even notice. And sometimes it's a loved one that first tells you and says, you seem to be a little bit more moody or a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more sensitive during the winter time. And then lets people say, okay, maybe you're affected by SAD.
Yeah, and sometimes, and we'll talk about the solutions, sometimes there's an increase in, believe it or not, one of the symptoms is an increase for desire for carbohydrates, which actually we'll talk about the adaptation about that, and just simple exhaustion. Like, again, I am not a person who falls asleep easily, and all of a sudden I can sleep anytime. And I'm craving sweets, something I never eat. Now, there are incredible solutions for SAD. I have one in my house. There are these lamps that you can get that, and they're not the same, not to be confused with going to a tanning salon. That's not going to work. They are specially made for seasonal affective disorder, and they have a profound effect. What do you know about these lamps, Georgia?
So what's happening is you're getting a full spectrum light. And so what's happening is you're getting the light that you would be getting from sunlight. And so what you want to do is there's a certain spectrum of light that our body ends up producing more of the neurotransmitters that we would be getting from the sun, which is what we believe affects us from seasonal affective disorder. So you're getting a lack of serotonin, and it's also, your melatonin levels may become a little bit off, which will cause your circadian clock, your sleep clock, your natural clock of your body, to come a little bit out of regular focus with that. And so when you spend at least like 15 to 40 minutes a day in front of this light, and for some people a little more and for some people a little less, then you're getting that treatment and your body's saying, oh, there is enough sun, so I don't have to go into this regular set of hibernation. And it's interesting because other studies have shown that it's even best if the time that you spend in front of this light would be during your regular daylight hours. So right after the sun goes down, maybe at your home, you would extend that by sitting in front of this light, which then your body would say, oh, I don't have to go into hibernation now.
Absolutely brilliant information. So, I'm just going to let people know that it's extremely important if you are suffering symptoms of SAD, okay, and these symptoms include lethargy, tiredness, irritability, increase in the desire for carbohydrates. Simply purchasing a lamp, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere like we do, they're extremely easy to find. But I think that these days, Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, has them. They are everywhere, and I really recommend getting them. I think you can get one for under $100. And I have one sitting in the basement. I haven't used it. My husband said to me last night, I think you need to use it. I wasn't feeling irritable, but I was feeling tired. It is normal. The days are shorter. Another tip for the holidays that I want to mention before we go into our next segment is that lamp or no lamp, getting outside for a few minutes a day is paramount. Now, you may have noticed a lot of things we're talking about today have a lot to do with stress management and depression in general. So SAD and holiday blues are very similar. So I know I'm asked the question quite often, what's the difference? And how would we know? Well, here's the thing. If it's holiday blues or SAD, it's time limited, meaning it's holiday blues. You start to feel, first there's a big, like a roller coaster ride up. Oh my God, it's Christmas, it's the holidays. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And then there's a big often fall down. Now also with SAD, it's related to, and you have SAD if it seems to come at the same time every year. Now, here's the thing that's interesting and we got to be really, really careful about, and this is why we wanted to do this show, is SAD or holiday blues can turn into depression. Now, let's think about why that is, and I think really let's take this in. The problem is that as we start to fall, we start to develop bad habits. So if I eat a lot of junk food and sleep all day, what am I going to want to do? I'm going to want to eat more junk food. I'm going to want to sleep even more and more and more and more. And it doesn't take long, unfortunately, for our bodies, when we don't have good habits, to fall into very bad patterns. Now, one thing I want to really stress more than anything else is the importance of moving your body. And I know, I'm with you guys, I know that moving your body when it's this time of year and when you're feeling low is the last thing you want to do. And I'm still going to say, let's make a pact together. I'll make it with you. Let's agree to dance around the house, go for a walk, move our bodies, and find a way to keep exercise part of our life. It doesn't have to be huge. I know we're busy eating, we're busy celebrating. As I said, put some loud music on, dance, but I promise you, money back guarantee, you will have a better holiday season if you integrate and make a commitment to exercise right now. We're going to take a break, but don't go away. There's lots more information on your holidays and how to have the best holidays possible when we come back. This is Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So we are back on Straight Talk talking about the so important topic of holiday blues and holiday anxiety. What can we do to ensure a good holiday season? This was really personally important to me because I think we all wait for this time of year with so much anticipation and so much wanting it to be special. And then often we walk away from it and we think, what happened? Why wasn't it what I had hoped it would be? And I want to review what we've got so far. So we've got definitely maintaining a routine, moving your body, food, sleep, exercise, and taking some time in the day for yourself. Another thing that I think that we lose sight of, and it's so important, is the concept of gratitude. We often, again, in our negativity bias, are so concerned about, are things working out as we had hoped? Are things as good as we had hoped? So on and so forth. Are people showing us the love that we had hoped for, et cetera, et cetera? And when the answer is no, we fall into a very, very negative place. Well, the truth of the matter is that the antidote to that frustration is gratitude. So another thing I would recommend at this time of year, and I think would be a really good idea, is to take out a journal and, we've said it before on Straight Talk, write down 3 things a day that you're grateful for. And I know people say, that's not going to make a difference. And I get that, because if anyone's cynical, it's me. But actually, when you write it down, it's really weird what happens. But your brain gets a message and it gets a reminder of what is good in your life. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There are days where what's good in your life may not be that great. It might be alive. And that doesn't sound like much, but when you think about it, it's quite a huge thing to be alive. So gratitude is paramount. Lowering expectations is paramount. Watching that sun. Now, we have people writing into us right now asking about where they can get the lamp. Okay, so you can go to a website called Northern Technologies. They have lamps. Amazon has lamps. Costco, if you go on Costco.ca or Costco.com, they have lamps. What about that choosing your battles issue? What about the choosing your battles issues? So you're sitting with your family, and I know many of you listening, because I know a lot of you listening are asking me in my office this question. Your mother, your father, your uncle says, hey, you put on weight, or says something totally inappropriate. How do you deal with that? Well, you're not going to change your family members during that holiday dinner. Now, it is important to have boundaries. You can't let anything go, but it is equally important to choose your battles. We definitely want to talk about what choosing your battle means as compared to boundaries and consequences. So there's certain things, if somebody says something to you that is completely inappropriate, you don't want to, sit there no matter what. But how do you make the distinction? So I've got Georgia here with me, and I'm going to throw her that question. So you're sitting at your holiday dinner, and I say choose your battles. Okay, what does that mean, though? Like, at what point, like your aunt says, oh, you've put on a few pounds, okay? At what point is it like, I got to get out of here? And at what point do you say, sometimes I personally feel I'm not going to change my family members today. I'm not getting into it. And I just, go like, so how about those Canadians, or, whatever Canadian hockey team or football team you're interested in. Georgia, what would you do if you're sitting at a holiday dinner and people say these things to you? I'm curious.
Well, it's really interesting. I love the fact of changing the what you're talking about, which is a great tool to be able to get out of that. sometimes I might even, throw it back at someone, which is not the greatest of things. But what you sometimes want to do is be like, you know what? I have gained a little bit of weight. It's really hard on me, but it happens sometimes. So sometimes it's just embracing the fact of it's true. So my mom, every holiday, will say something from my childhood past that is not something that I want to talk about. Like, what did she say the other holiday? She's like, oh my God, people really thought that you were stupid when you were young. This is not a joke. She really said this. They really thought that there was something wrong with you. Remember when you got tested? And I go to her, thanks, Mom. Like, thanks for bringing up. That's really, truly a good holiday discussion point that we should be having right now.
Absolutely,
and everyone laughed, because though you would say, you know what, that's a horrible thing to have to go through, everyone understands that person that will say this stuff because they're just honest. She didn't mean it to be hurtful to me. She was just being who she was, and she didn't think it was something to be embarrassed about, and she wanted to talk about that. And so I just said, you know what, I'm just going to embrace it. Just going to embrace it and throw it back to her like, yeah, thanks, Mom, for bringing that up. I hope that everyone enjoyed this holiday discussion and everyone had a good laugh. And that was it. It was over. I think that it becomes really difficult when you get really angry and frustrated and make it into something better. So I figured we might as well all laugh together at my expense.
So I think that's absolutely brilliant, but obviously you used different parts of you at that moment, because there was a part of you that felt
oh my God.
Yes. And then there was another part of you that diffused, you disarmed her. Tell people, break that down. Like, how did you access that part of you? Because that's choosing your battles. That really is what I mean by choosing your battles. So you could have gone a different way. You could have been like, I can't believe you're saying that. Like, this is not the place for it. You could have gone defensive, and understandably so. So what does someone draw upon to have that skill? Therapists are trained to have that skill. We have that skill because we have clients who say things to us, and we got to be able to handle it. What's the skill, and how do you do it? Let's break it down into steps.
Well, I think that the first one is that we really, everyone has stuff. I think that I was just understanding that we all have stuff that we have gone through that is not the greatest of stuff. It is that way for everyone. And so I think that the humor of the situation, I call it my Seinfeld moments, of which I have many.
Okay.
And so the first thing I first went, oh my God, Mom. In my head, I went, oh my God, Mom, I can't believe you are doing this to me. Why do I have to have this happen constantly, Mom? And so that was the first comment that I had. And then I said, well, you know what? I'm just going in with it. I'm just going to join and be like, make it a little bit fun. Because I think that when you say oh my God, I can't believe that you did that. This is so horrible. Everyone feels a little bit more uncomfortable. And so it was an easy way to let my mom know, like, Mom, like, maybe not the best of, are we going to talk about my bedwetting next? Or, what's going to be our next? This is going to be this year's holiday discussion, probably.
But Jojo, you are really good at using humor to diffuse. So I think I'm going to break it down like that. Is you found humor in it in spite of possibly being embarrassed. Because that is the one I've noticed people say, oh, you've put on weight. Like, I noticed the other day, even like a colleague of mine, they didn't say it to me, they said it to someone else who I love. And I really gave it to her. And I said, why did you say that? So she goes, I'm just honest. What do we think of the I'm just honest thing? There's some certain things people don't want to hear about. And women know when they've gained weight. And they don't need to be told.
And I think that people often hide, behind that this is honest, or I'm just being truthful to that, or I thought that you would want to know, when it could be callous and insensitive. And especially, we need to be a little bit aware about other people and how we make them feel. And so I think that we use that often as an excuse, and I don't think that that's a valid excuse to that. I try to do no harm. I really try not. And again, I might say something inadvertently, but then I would say, I'm so sorry, you know what? I was thoughtless when I said that. You want to also say, own up to your own stuff, because people probably have tales about me like, oh, Georgia, I can't believe when you said this to me. I have to say, yeah, you know what? That was really horrible of me. I'm so sorry. You want to have that also as a skill set when you do it to someone else, because it's easy to say, oh, poor you when it happened to you. But then also, how do you deal with it when you came in and, say to someone, wow, this really tastes like, Costco chicken. That's really good. And then they go, wait, no, I cooked this fresh. What do you mean? It tastes like store-bought? And you're like, no, I really love Costco chicken. And you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard.
So, before we end this segment and go into the next one, I really want to go, and that's what I want the next segment to be about, short snappers on how to get through this holiday season. Today is December 22nd. We are just 3 days or 2 days, depending on when you celebrate, away from the big day. What do we do? How do we celebrate? We've talked a little bit. Georgia actually drove to my mini studio. That's why you didn't hear from her for the last few minutes. She's actually with me now.
You locked me in the closet.
I locked you in the closet?
That's why I wasn't able to hear. You said that you didn't do a great job the last segment, and I went into the closet.
See, this is the kind of thing you don't say. But I'm going to find humor in that. She is kidding. I wanted her so bad I got her over here. What are the short snappers? We have a few minutes before the break. What are some short snappers? Give me your top 3. Let's come back and talk about more and more and more what people can do to make the next 10 days of their life special and meaningful, and remember what's important about this holiday season for people of all religions. Let's not exclude anyone. Georgia Dow, what have you got to say about this?
I think that you need to remember that people don't care about your house or the food or what you're doing. They care about you. So don't get wrapped up in cleaning and it does not have to be perfect. They just care about the emotional connections that we give to each other.
Okay, devil's advocate on each one of them. Let's play that game.
Okay.
People do care about my house. They're coming over. They're going to want to see if I keep a clean house. My food has to be immaculate because it's how often do I have so many people over? I'm sorry. You're wrong. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Which is a great comment, because you may have that critical person in your family. They're going to find faults no matter what you do.
Ooh.
So, you know what? Live for you. Don't live for others. If there's a dust bunny and they care more about the dust bunny than you, then they have other issues that they need to deal with. Name the dust bunny and let it go.
I saw a little, sometimes there are these good blurbs on social media, and I saw someone put something on that says, every time I judge, I reveal parts of myself that are unhealed. I love that. And I often tell my patients, and I think you do too, is that judgment is correlated with unhappiness. And we all do it. But the more we do it, the more unhappy we are. So maybe I'm going to piggyback on yours.
Yes. What's your one?
I'm going to piggyback on that. I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say, watch your own judgment.
Ooh.
When you're about to go, God, Auntie so-and-so is looking a little awful, okay? Or her food is like hallucious. Be careful. Remember, judgment is correlated with unhappiness. What's the opposite of judgment? The opposite of judgment, most people don't get this, is compassion. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about compassion on Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. Thanks for making it over here, Georgia. We'll be right back.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reich. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So we are back, and I'm happy to say if you do want to see us on Facebook, we are live streaming the last segment for our holiday special right before the end of the year. We do have a show next week, but this is the last live show we're doing. We have talked about a lot of things about the holidays, and I wanted to bring up another point that I think is important, which is that people get also very depressed, Georgia, when they spend too much. And what's that all about is that they want to, if you spend a lot, you're going to impress your kids. And also there's keeping up with the Joneses. But what's the fallout for that? You get your bill in January, and then, we see an increase in clients coming in January for a reason. Do you agree with that, keeping a boundary on spending?
It's so important. I think that financial stresses is also one of the biggest things that causes marriage issues.
Yes.
And so issues in the couple and issues with your children, because then you feel a little bit of animosity because why are you being so mean to you? I bought you all of these things at my own thing and I'm still getting lip from you. Shouldn't you be kinder to me?
Yeah, and I think it brings up the fact that if you set the bar high with children, do you agree that they start to expect more and more and more?
Rarely do they ever expect less.
Right.
They're not like, please buy me less toys. That was too much toys. There are some children that will do that, but they're the special children. They're not usually the children that we have. And the same thing with friends and family.
Well, I promised for this segment, I want to keep it, completely unscripted and really shooting back and forth tips for the holidays.
Love it.
We talked about choosing your battles right before the break. Let's just throw out our favorite tips. I already mentioned you've got to move your body. You don't want to. I don't mind if you dance around. It was actually when you were driving over here, I was talking about dance around your house, but moving the body has a profound effect on mood. You won't feel like it.
Yes.
Do it anyways.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think? How do we have a beautiful holiday season? How do we do it?
Make time for you.
Yeah.
Every single day you should make 15 to 30 minutes that you're going to do something that gives back to you as well. Because we're often thinking about the holidays of giving to others.
You mentioned also that it doesn't matter about dust bunnies. You mentioned, I think we want to come back to this a little bit because I quite like it, about the concept of judgment. Other people judging me and us judging other people. I said after the break, we talk about the opposite of judgment is compassion. So happy people don't judge.
No.
How do they do it?
Because they care about the relationship. I think that often when we're the people that judge are judging themselves as well very harshly. And so it's easier to throw it out to judge others so that you don't think about your own issues that you're there.
How about the contagion effect? People judge me. They come over. They're going to say, oh, yeah, your turkey isn't quite cooked. Of course, that wouldn't happen here. But most of my shows have talked about me being a vegan. But anyways.
The tofu turkey.
My tofu turkey is not quite cooked. And they start judging you, and there's a temptation, would you agree as a human, that when someone throws a pebble at you, you want to throw back? And I know, again, as a therapist, there's a skill here. I talk about not getting into the dirt. If you get into the dirt, you just get dirty. What are your thoughts on this, Georgia Dow?
Oh, I think that you're so right, and I love that you say that, because it's hard when someone throws a dig at you or something that you perceive as a dig, because it might just be that they go, and you think, oh, they hate my turkey. So sometimes it's also inside of our own head that we deal with that. So someone comes up to you, Sandra, and says, this tofu is not really to my liking. What do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I definitely have a sensitive spot. First of all, I don't make any tofu turkey. I want to make that clear. I make delicious stuff. Tofu turkey does not sound good. Okay. And for the people who are considering veganism, I want to assure you there's a lot of good food you can have, but that's another show. But when I put my heart and soul in cooking, I have to admit I have fallen many a time because I put my heart in that food.
So when they say to me,
it's even worse when they don't say.
Or they don't say anything.
Yeah.
You're saying, I'm giving you my love, and now by you not saying anything or by being critical, you have not accepted my love, and it's hurt me deeply. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that sometimes we step on top of other people's wounds.
That's a wound for me. There's no doubt about it, because I take cooking very seriously, and I grew up in a family where, like many others, where feeding people is love. Yes. and there's a lot of care put in. So I've had to train myself, because I used to fall like a fly, and this is what I do, and I don't know if this is your strategy too, is I tell myself when I'm cooking it that I want to be happy with what I've made. And then if anyone else is happy with it, is bonus. But I don't need that drug, because that's another drug. And you know how I feel about drugs.
Yes.
Is you can't get addicted to drugs, or then you're a victim. And people they know how to puppet you.
Yeah.
And you're giving them power. So I say, am I proud of this food? And did I want to do that? Because the last time I overdid it, I didn't want to do it. But I did it to impress people, and not a person at the table say anything. And I went to bed very upset that night.
And that hurts.
Is that what you do?
I think that the first thing that I say is that I am not my food, or I am not my table setting, or I am not, what's there. What I have to offer is me and my relations. So my house is not the cleanest of houses. My cooking is probably not the best of cooking, but it is not me. And so I think that we often carry that I'm giving this out and it's not received, and we can't control that. And so similar to you with that drug feeling, I don't like to put my ego in an area where I cannot control it myself. And that it's difficult, and it's definitely training to that. But I often actually say to myself, you know what, this is not me. And so if they don't accept it, it doesn't mean they don't accept me. Because for me with abandonment issues, I could feel that way, that if you say that this isn't good enough, you're saying I'm not good enough. And so I separate that.
Okay, so let's go one step further. I mean, you are a very dynamic woman. Fascinating. You would be at my dinner table. I'd want to talk all night with you. I love talking with you. What would someone like you do if you were at a dinner table, maybe at your in-laws or somewhere, and now they're not just not noticing your food, but they're not noticing you, because you said you're not your food. But what if they're not even acknowledging you? Many people listening are going to have that problem over the holiday season, and it's going to hurt. No one's going to ask how their job is going and how they're doing. What do you do? Should you exit? What do you do?
I think that the first thing, and in any issue where you feel that your own self-esteem cup, and that's one of the problems with the holidays, is that when you are overexerting yourself, giving so much to everyone else, that your cup, you haven't taken that time to fill it.
That's it.
And so it'll hurt even more than it would if you're doing really great and your job is wonderful and you're really happy. Then it doesn't hurt that much. But say that this was a really rough year to you. Maybe you've lost someone that you care about in your family. Maybe you felt really alone. Maybe you're going through a breakup. Maybe it's just you're down during this period of time. It's even harder because you want to fill that. And so I think that the first thing you need to do is make sure that you do not overexert. Then make sure that you are doing things onto yourself that give you back. So those flow experiences, art, walking, exercising, creating something, cooking, but for yourself, not for others. And then it hurts less. Still, when they say it though, they say to you and say, you know what? Oh, thank you, Sandra. Let's talk about, Sharon over here is doing this. And you're like, but I was in the middle of my mid-conversation. You have to watch what your self-talk is, because we often carry a lot of load in what other people say. And there's some family members or even friends that you might have that are never going to be able to give you that feeling.
And you say that, and we're getting to the point, I want to send our final messages out. I think that if someone purposely ignored you at a dinner or didn't ask you anything about it, doesn't that actually say that actually in a way you're quite important? Because you're going to start to feel not important. But it takes a certain amount of effort to ignore someone. So it's almost like they are intimidated by you. And as therapists, that happens. You always talk about going to dinner parties and saying you're a psychotherapist, and people
never goes over well.
Start to move away from you because they think we want to analyze them when we're off hours, which we don't.
Right. We really don't.
We don't.
We're done with that. I think that it's a really important thing to acknowledge and to validate. If you have a family member, friend that says it was really hurtful, when Uncle Bob never seems to notice when I speak versus when my brother speaks, he's giving them all of the attention. It's a really difficult thing. And so also to be supportive of others that might be going through that.
I can't believe the time's up, Georgia. It's unbelievable. I'll say a quick hello to Lori and Carolyn who are joining us. Hi, guys. Let's try as many ways as possible to wish people happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, I think it's called.
Yes.
What else? Festivus. All the very best to you and yours. Take time for yourself. Enjoy your holiday season. We'll be back in the new year with fresh, great material. We have an amazing show next week on emotional regulation. You don't want to miss that.
That's important.
It's a good one with Melissa. Unbelievable. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, everyone at Voice America. This is Straight Talk with Sandra Reich, wishing you and yours a wonderful, safe, happy, and healthy holiday season. Thank you so much, Georgia, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, everyone, for listening in.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life.